I am Tom Yardley, County Commissioner for San Patricio County, and you're listening to Texas County Voice, a podcast for all 254 counties.
Hello, and welcome to Texas County Voice, the official podcast of the Texas Association of Counties. I'm your host, Jody Seaward. Today, we are looking inside the new issue of County Magazine, the summer 2025 edition, and joining me to give us an overview is Mary Huber, Managing Editor of County Magazine. Mary, great to have you back.
Always a pleasure to be here, Jody.
Well, let's start off with the cover story, which you wrote, and it's about rural EMS funding.
Yeah, so and it's an important story, so we hope it catches your eye. There's been a lot of wins that came out of this legislative session, this being definitely one of the highlights and something that rural counties were really pushing for, which is more funding for ambulances in rural areas that really ambulances are actually super expensive. And
yeah, I've read and have heard from some of our county officials that a new ambulance can cost as much as $400,000 or more.
Yeah, when you pack in all the equipment and other things, it's closer to $600,000.
Wow.
And
so the legislature during the regular session, which ended in early June, created this grant program that will go to counties of a certain population. I believe the population limit is around 68,000, but there's a funding amount that goes to the counties so that they can buy new ambulances and equipment.
Yeah, so it depends on size, whether these counties qualify and for how much, and that will be administered by the comptroller. But yeah, so a lot of rural counties were really hoping for this. We talked to one county judge in Presidio County, which is a huge county on the border with Mexico, right near Big Bend. They have 2 ambulances for the entire county, and it presents a lot of problems, not just for people that live there, obviously and need ambulance service, but for all the people that drive through there. If you get in an accident on the road and you have 2 ambulances in the county, you could be waiting an hour. And this is just, it's a big problem. And so this is kind of a first step in helping to address that by giving some kind of funding, grant funding to these counties to help them purchase new ambulances. And counties say this is a good start. Obviously, another big problem is personnel and having people to staff ambulances. That's harder in rural areas. People move to bigger cities and want to work in bigger departments. So, but what I hear from counties is this is a really good start.
Yeah, it was a priority of the County Judges and Commissioners Association, and you can read that story in the new issue, and not only read the story, but Mary, for the first time, County Magazine is turning a select number of articles into audio features. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm sure people have seen this from time to time where there's an audio version of an article that you can listen to, and we really wanted to make our website and our stories more accessible, so we're choosing a handful in each issue, this one just the cover story, to play on audio with the help of AI.
Yeah, that's interesting. These audio versions of stories that you'll see, in some newspapers, you can click on to listen to the story rather than read it, or listen as you read along. Those are almost always generated these days by artificial intelligence, and so we're taking advantage of an AI tool to do the same. And we will, since it's the first time, at the end of this episode, stay with us, and you will hear that audio version of the story.
Wonderful. I'm excited.
So, Mary, another thing that we wrote about, speaking of the legislature, is we did a legislative, a wrap-up of the 89th legislature, a wrap-up of the regular session of the 89th legislature, in which we mentioned the rural EMS grant and a few other wins for counties during the session. Overall, the counties considered the regular session a good session for them. There were some wins. Of course, there were some challenges, and there are some things to navigate over the next year and a half before the next regular session. So that story highlights some of the top measures of interest to counties that came out of the regular session. And yeah, take a look at that one too. And the feeling was coming out of the regular session that, it was a successful session for the state leadership, that there wouldn't be a special session this time. But Mary, it seems like there are always special sessions
wrong.
these days. Yes. So Governor Abbott vetoed, as I'm sure our listeners know, the ban on THC and asked the legislators to come back and consider regulating the hemp industry. And then tragically, a couple of weeks after that veto, we had the July 4th flooding in the Hill Country. And so Governor Abbott added flooding control, disaster response to the call, along with a lot of other topics.
Yes.
So we went from thinking, well, maybe we wouldn't have a special session this time to having a special session with 18 items on it. And as we record this, Mary, we're kind of in limbo with the special session because redistricting is on the list, and Democrats have left the state, denying the House a quorum.
So we're not getting a lot of movement.
We will
Quite
see.
yet.
We will have a special session article in the next issue.
We'll see
We'll see.
how robust it is.
Yeah. And one more thing about the legislature. Be sure to register, if you haven't already, for TAX 2025 Legislative Conference. That's coming up at the end of the month, August 27th through the 29th. We will be unpacking all the major things of interest to counties that came out of the regular session, and time permitting and things actually happening, the first special session at the conference. And I'll just mention a couple of highlights. The opening general session will feature a keynote address by Kent Hance. He, a former U.S. congressman, he was the chancellor at the Texas Tech University system. I think he's now the chancellor emeritus. And he hosts a podcast called The Best Storyteller in Texas. So that should be pretty fun and enlightening. And then the closing session will feature Wise County Judge J.D. Clark on a panel discussion. And Judge Clark is the topic of another article in the magazine.
Yes, and you wrote this one, so I'll
Stop me, Mary, before I continue. I feel like
carrying it away.
I'm monologuing here. Judge Clark was sworn in as the 2025-26 president of the National Association of Counties in July during NACO's annual conference, which was held this year in Philadelphia. I wrote a profile of Judge Clark in this issue of the magazine. We also have a podcast conversation with Judge Clark that you can listen to. We will link to all of this in the show notes on county.org/Texas County Voice.
You can also
I'm tired of talking,
hear
Mary.
J.D. Clark on Spotify.
Oh, yes, of course. How could I forget that? Judge Clark is also a singer-songwriter. I think there are 3 songs that you can find on all the streaming platforms. You'll have to search for Judson Clark because he goes by his first name, Judson, and not his initials, J.D., when he's releasing his recording. And during his speech at the NACO conference when he was sworn in, he concluded by singing a song he wrote for the occasion. I'll link to that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About Texas counties.
He's a
tune about Texas counties.
He's an impressive county leader and a talented person. Okay, Mary, I've
That's
talked.
enough of you.
Yeah, I've talked too much. What's next? Take us.
I'll take it from
deep,
here.
take us deeper into the magazine because
Yes.
there's a fun story, an interesting little story.
Yes.
Some Texas history.
Texas history. We love to have Texas history in the magazine. And this one looks at Karnes County. The town is Helena, famous for a lot of things, notably the Helena Duel.
What was the Helena Duel?
So, this was when fighters would tie their right hands together and use a 4-inch knife to try to end their battle. Does that,
So,
that's,
that sounds.
I feel like I have to
So
act
this
it
wasn't
out.
like a gunfight
No, this was a knife fight.
or a family like a Hatfield and McCoy's type
It was
thing.
a
This was something they
legit
did for
knife-
fun in
knife
Helena. Huh?
fight. There's a whole story behind it, so you can read the magazine.
We will be doing a podcast episode on Helena and Karnes County coming up in the next month or so.
So stay tuned.
So stay tuned. But in the meantime, whet your appetite by reading The Toughest Little Town in Texas, Helena.
In this issue, County Magazine, which is online now, printed and in our hands, and soon in county offices. So, is there anything else you want to note about this one? It's always fun to hear the Chet Gardner story, right?
What is the Chet Garner story this issue?
It's about the great man of Texas.
Oh, and?
So, the great man of Texas saved the European wine industry in the 1860s. He lived here in Texas.
What was
T.V.
his name?
Munson. T.V. Munson.
Okay.
So, his home is in Grayson County.
Oh, okay.
So, you can visit it there. But yeah, saved the European wine industry. You can find out how. You can go visit Grayson County, drink some wine. More in this issue of County Magazine.
Well, this time, Mary, I won't bore you about stories of horned toads then.
You can't get enough stories out of Horton.
Well, thank you, Mary, and stay with us because we will be playing right now the audio version of Mary's rural EMS story.
Thanks so much, Jody. If you want to see the digital issue, you can go to county.org and subscribe there online.
Yeah, you can find a link to the magazine on the homepage of county.org.
Take it away.
Texas takes action on EMS. This article is by Mary Huber and read by an automated voice. Presidio County Judge Jose Portillo calls his border community the poster child for the problems facing rural emergency medical services in Texas. Its southernmost city, Presidio, is 90 miles from the nearest hospital in Alpine and has one of only 2 ambulances that serve the county's entire 4,000 square miles. A round trip to the Alpine Hospital can take as long as 4 hours, leaving the area effectively without emergency service in the meantime. Take into account that 2 million people cross the U.S.-Mexico border in the county each year, and more than 1 million people visit Big Bend Ranch State Park annually. The potential absence of timely medical care spells big trouble for anyone in need of an urgent response. Portillo said the high mileage they put on their ambulances limits their usable lifespan to about a year. At a price tag of $400,000 for a new ambulance, Presidio County, with its $4 million annual budget, can't bear the cost. Add in the price of a stretcher system, heart monitor, medications, and other equipment, and that expense inches closer to $600,000. Presidio County is far from alone. Many rural counties across West Texas, South Texas, and the Panhandle are considered ambulance deserts, with no access to a level 1 or 2 trauma center within an hour's drive, and many have no hospital or EMS station. This situation endangers both residents and travelers. More than half of traffic fatalities in Texas occur on rural roads, and a 4-hour round trip to a hospital can mean the difference between life and death. One call of a patient to Alpine means we are exposed, Portillo said. A new state grant program, created through House Bill 3000 passed by the Texas legislature during this year's session, aims to improve rural EMS. It offers up to $500,000 to counties with populations under 10,000 and up to $350,000 to counties with populations between 10,000 and 68,750 to help purchase new ambulances. The grant program is expected to begin in January. It will be administered by the Texas Comptroller's Office. Private safety entities and public health agencies licensed by the Department of State Health Services operating in predominantly rural areas will be eligible to receive funding directly through their county commissioners' courts. This is a win for everyone, especially our first responders who answer those calls to an unsuspecting public that might not get the help they need otherwise without this very important bill passing, said Johnson County Commissioner Rick Bailey, the Legislative Committee Chairman for the County Judges and Commissioners Association of Texas, which helped drive the effort to get HB 3000 passed. Thanks to all that gave testimony, and especially the legislators who answered the call. Texas will be safer for it, he said. Bailey, in his testimony at the Capitol during the session, emphasized the challenges facing his rapidly growing county south of Fort Worth. Its population has increased 17% since 2020. Johnson County has a contract with the company CareFlight to operate 5 ambulances in the region at a cost of $1.5 million annually. When the county crafted its contract with CareFlight last year, it was based on an average of 20 calls a day. Johnson County has continued to grow at a record clip since then, now with an average of 35 calls a day. With a growing population, on top of the extended daily call log, we know this is going to come at a tremendous cost to our taxpayers, Bailey said. Complicating factors in Johnson County have been the loss of both the maternity and cardiac wings of its sole hospital in Cleburne. This means they've had to transport people farther away to other hospitals for this care, which leads to longer response times. Hospitals across the state are continuing to lose medical services because of a host of issues including population loss, greater numbers of uninsured residents, aging infrastructure, and cuts in Medicaid and Medicare reimbursement. According to the Texas Hospital Association, 21 rural hospitals have closed during the past decade, and 26% more are in danger of closing. Other legislation passed this session seeks to address this problem. House Bill 18, known as the Rural Health Stabilization and Innovation Act, will help rural hospitals apply for state and federal health care financing. It also creates 4 new grant programs to assist hospitals that will be awarded based on financial risk, disaster recovery needs, and innovative care initiatives. Our EMS services are the only medical care in the county. There is no clinic, no hospitals, no doctors. We are losing them, Lamb County Judge James M. DeLoach said. If you have a wreck or get sick on the road in some counties, there is no one to take care of you. You may wait an hour for someone. DeLoach has been certified as an EMT since the 1980s. Over the decades, he has seen prices skyrocket for ambulances and supplies. A heart monitor that was $500 when he started his career now costs $50,000. Today, the standard of care has increased, and we are expected to deliver the same level of care in the rural areas as the urban areas, DeLoach said, and we should. Lamb County relies mostly on volunteer fire departments to cover its 1,000 square miles. These departments survive largely on donations, and it's not enough anymore to cover the cost of ambulances. The days of having bake sales and barbecues to raise money to keep these things on the road are gone, said Rick Thompson, Program Director for the County Judges and Commissioners Association. Thompson said hiring personnel to staff ambulances remains the most inhibiting factor for service. Paramedics typically move to larger cities where they can earn a higher salary. The money provided by the legislature will not cover the cost for personnel, though county officials are hopeful to receive additional funding in the future. Additionally, ambulance manufacturers can often take up to 3 years to complete delivery, so it could be some time before conditions fully improve. For now, the grant program is a good start to help address service challenges. Counties that would have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for a new ambulance can now put that money toward EMS salaries. It helps because it allows us to use those funds that otherwise would have been spent on ambulances to divert back to other shortcomings we have, Portillo said. Presidio has no money in the bank. We spend every nickel we collect. We make it to the end of the fiscal year on fumes. Looking ahead, the number of Texans aged 65 and older is expected to more than double by 2050, which means the demand for emergency medical services will only increase. Mobile EMS units are already offering some longer-term solutions for areas without ambulance departments and hospitals, but these too come at a steep cost. The County Judges and Commissioners Association, along with the Texas Organization of Rural and Community Hospitals and the Texas EMS Alliance, plans to seek federal funding to further help address the problem. This funding from the Texas legislature is certainly a foundation we can build on, DeLoach said. In the time I've been in EMS in my career, right around 40 years, we have never had this type of participation by the state legislature. We have them at the table. We need to build on that relationship and continue to work with them. They are trying to find a way to help.
Thank you for listening to Texas County Voice. Texas County Voice is a podcast from the Texas Association of Counties about the people, issues, and all things important to Texans and Texas counties. To learn more about Texas counties and the Texas Association of Counties, visit county.org.